Namaskaram Vasandima Swami Devami. Delighted to note that you have thoroughly prepared to render a deeply meaningful and adorable song composed by one of my favorite and arguably the greatest Advaitic Siddha ever, Sri Sadashiva Brahmendra, who traversed Madurai where he was born, Kumbakonam where he lived, and Nerur where he attained Mahasamadhi near Karur more than 300 years ago. There's a very interesting episode of how he settled down at Nerur and eventually attained his Mahasamadhi there. Being a person who has identified himself with the Atman and therefore with the knowledge, a practical knowledge, not just theoretical, that he is not the body, he was completely absolved of his identification with the body, so much so that he used to walk around nude, no clothes, because clothes matter only when you're identified with the body. And when he was thus walking once across a garden, which happened to be a royal garden of the king and the queens who were sporting there on the banks of River Kaveri, the king was aghast. He was angry that there was this person whom he didn't know was walking nude while his queens were around him too. So he asked his soldiers to inquire who this person was and to bring him. At this, the soldiers ran after this particular saint, not knowing that he was a saint, and tried to stop him. But no amount of calling would make any impact on this fast-moving sadhu walking across the banks. At that time, the soldiers threw a sword at him, and that sword happened to chop off his arm, one of his arms. In spite of that, he continued walking as if nothing had happened. This showed how disidentified he was with the body and how identified with his Atman. Then, seeing this happen, the king ran after him, fell at his feet, and apologized for what had happened and requested him to stay back in Nerur, where he eventually attained Mahasamadhi. Such was the greatness of Sadashiva Brahmendra. My delight is further amplified by the fact that the specific song of Sri Sadashiva Brahmendra chosen by you today is the one which our most beloved Papaji Master used to love so much. Thanks to his favorite 1980 Telugu movie Shankarabharanam, a Sri K. Vishwanath blockbuster in which Sri Vani Jairam and the late Sri S.P. Balasubramaniam had further immortalized this eternal melody, enacted in a mind-boggling manner on screen by child actress Sri Tulasi, playing the little boy Sri Shankaram, and of course the irrepressible late Sri J.V. Somayajulu, teaching Carnatic vocal music to the 10-year-old boy, not knowing that he's the son of his greatest fan ever, Sri Tulasi, played superbly by Sri Manju Bhargavi. Vasandima, it was heart-rending even to mention that you are in tears repeatedly watching that touching scene on YouTube, a song which I myself recollect observing my then 40-year-old Papaji hearing zillions of times on his old tape recorder. Most of the experts, vocalists, and rasikas tend to consider this song, Manasa sancharare, as a devotional song dedicated to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. But the fact of the matter is that Krishna's name isn't actually mentioned even once in this entire song. While it is indeed both beautiful and fruitful to associate Krishna with a 5,000 plus year old historical personality or even with Godhead Vishnu, I beg your and such associators' pardon, as I prefer to go beyond the merely literary interpretation and perceive a deeper spiritual significance, observing Krishna not merely as a person or even a so called God, but through the far more piercing third eye view of the ultimate Advaitic Siddha that Sri Sadashiva Brahmendra was. Hence, this song to my ears, to my heart, to my brain, and to my conscious spirit is actually steeped in the untranslatable and unqualified principle or tattva of Nirguna Brahman and is a conscious attempt to kindle the fourth Vedic Mahavakya of Aham Brahmasmi, meaning I am Brahman, the other three being Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, and I am Atma Brahma. In fact, the song starts by exhorting our normally extroverted mind to undertake an inner pilgrimage in this abstract, all encompassing principle of Brahman, which is all that there is, in fact, all that there ever is. As we all know, the song directly appeals to our mind to travel inwards to our true nature, Manasa sancharare, sancharare meaning travel. Brahmani Manasa sancharare. In the Pallavi itself, the song then takes us through three power packed tiny charanams involving three birds, which are either mystically or mythically involved, or have mystical or mythical characteristics. But why birds? Well, it's because they can fly in air, which is subtler than the three grosser panchabhutas of solid earth, liquid water, and energetic fire. But why mythical birds then? So that we can transcend even the fourth panchabhuta of gaseous air and traverse space or akasha, the fifth panchabhuta. Eventually, our ultimate spiritual evolution requires us to transcend all the five bhutas, that is, the panchabhutas. The final frontier being the sportive field of these mythical birds, namely space time or Kala too, and thus recognize our indelible oneness with nothingness or Mahakala. Let's now check out these three birds in the context of the upcoming song that you're going to sing for us. Firstly, our most attractive national bird, the peacock, epitomized as the Pranava mantra, Aum, the very essence of the Vedas, represented by the wings of Garuda, from whose feathers Mayura or the peacock is said to have originated or evolved. And the peacock's feather, in turn, is said to decorate the head of the very principle of attractiveness, Krishna. Madashiki Pinchalamkruta Shikure, rendering the facade of attraction to be as soft or flexible as a bud, flower bud that is, and its cheekiness as reflective as a mirror. Mahaniya Kapola Vijita Mukure. These qualities provide the principle of attractiveness and access to the otherwise impenetrable fortress of the very bosom of prosperity, Sri Ramani Kucha Durga Vihare, as well as acquisition of the prestigious role as the wish fulfiller at the abodes of all the service minded. Sevakajana Mandira Mandare. So, peacock is the first bird mentioned in this song, inspiring classical continuum mechanics. Secondly, the supreme swan or Paramahamsa, capable of extracting pure milk even from highly diluted milk, or in other words, the core spiritual essence of even materialistic existence, inspiring quantum mechanics. By the way, Paramahamsa also happens to be the pen name, the renowned stamp or mudra of Sri Sadashiva Brahmendra, just like Guru Guha was for Muthuswami Dikshitar, my other favorite. And Tyagaraja used to involve Rama in most of his songs, Purandaradasa Vittala, and Subramanya Bharadiyar, Kannamma. So next, let's move on to the third bird. We have seen the peacock and the swan. The third bird, akin in appearance to the partridge, is the untranslatable and exalted chakora bird, which is supposed to survive by feeding on nothing more than moonlight, and therefore it's almost inseparable from moonlight. So it can survive, sustain itself on moonlight alone, the rays of the moon. Paramahamsa Mukhachandra Chakore, inspiring both the special and general theories of relativity of Einstein, rendering every human body to be a precious flute in the soulful musical play of the one and only consciousness that we all actually are in reality, namely the Parabrahman, which culminates the song with Paripurita Murali Ravadhare. In the beginningless rhythm of Adi Talam, akin to Shiva's Dhamru, this song is typically sung in the ragam known by an epithet of the dark-hued Krishna, that is Shyama, sometimes referred to as Sama or Sama, being 28th Harikamboji Janya. Hari once again being an epithet of the stealer of our hearts, Hari Harati, and spirits, of course, Sri Krishna. While the very word Krishna symbolizes attractiveness, akarshana, maybe the word attractiveness also originates from Krishna, the English word. It's also interesting to remember that the movie Shankarabharanam itself is named after the favorite ragam of its lead character, Shankara Shastri Garu, played by Somayajulu, of course. Shankarabharanam is literally a jewel, abharanam of Shankara, the supremely attractive principle of nothingness or Shiva. So it all eventually boils down to our internal black hole. Na deho, na mano, na buddhi, satchidananda atmoham, shivoham, shivoham, shivoham. That being the deeper inner meaning, let me finally literally translate the entire song word by word. O mind, Manasa, undertake pilgrimage, sancharare, in the Brahman. May the hairlock of Brahman, Madashiki, meditated upon by you, be adorned, alankruta, with the plumes of an exhilarated peacock or chikure. The cheeks or mukure of the Supreme One, Mahaniya, outwit or Vijita, the brightness of a mirror, Kapola. Mahalakshmi or Sri Ramani is the one he sports, the Brahman sports, Vihare, around with Durga. For his devotee or Sevaka, he is a Kalpa Vriksha, Mandare, in the courtyard, Mandira of the Sevak. Supreme or Parama, ascetics or Hamsa, delight in that phase moon, Mukha Chandra, as a partridge-like bird, Chakori. O mind, may your pilgrimage be in this Brahman that fills Paripurita, the whole universe, with the flow of the enchanting music from his flute, Murali Ravadhare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shambho Shankara Uma Maheshwara Gauri Priya Sadashiva, Shri Sadashiva Brahmendra, Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
நமஸ்காரம் வசந்திமா. இன்னைக்கு பப்பாஜிக்கு பிடித்த ஒரு பாட்டு பாடும்படி வேண்டிக் கொள்கிறோம்.
श्रीरमणी तो कवितारे श्रीरमणी तो कवितारे श्रीरमणी तो कवितारे सेवक जन मंदिर मंगरे श्रीरमणी तो कवितारे सेवक जन मंदिर मंगरे परमहंस मुख चंद जगोरे परमहंस मुख चंद जगोरे परमहंस मुख चंद जगोरे परिपूरित मुरली रवनारे परिपूरित मुरली रवनारे मानस संचरे परमहंस मुख चंद जगोरे परमहंस मुख चंद जगोरे परमहंस मुख चंद जगोरे परिपूरित मुरली रवनारे परिपूरित मुरली रवनारे मानस संचरे ब्रह्मणि मानस संचरे ब्रह्मणि मानस संचरे
மிக விருக்கமாக இருந்தது வசந்தம்மா. மிக்க